Okay, guys, so today's interview is with Sarah Stevenson and Stephen Jennings. So, guys, welcome to Focus on Taekwondo. I must say, if I was to cut you both in the arm, I reckon your blood would be red, white, and blue. You've both certainly done your bit for your country. So, to give the listeners a little look into your Taekwondo background, both of you were full-time British team athletes and coaches. Sarah, you're a 4 times Olympian and Olympic medalist. And both of you have been to multiple world championships. Steve, am I right in saying 6 world championships for you? And you just barely missed out on medaling in Madrid in 2005.
That was the closest I got, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? Amazing in itself, you know? So really good. And Sarah, you've competed at 8 world championships and medalled at 4. You know, so junior world champion and 2-time senior world champion and also 1 silver. I mean, those stats in themselves, to be honest, we could talk about them all day. But yeah, I kind of want to delve a little bit deeper, if that's okay. You know?
No, definitely. No, sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, good. Excellent. So, Sarah, you were born 30th of March, 1983. So that makes you 21.
I feel so old.
And Steve, you were born on the 25th of December, 1981. So a Christmas baby. You know?
In a stable.
Yeah, in a stable. Yeah, that's it. No, that's good. So Sarah, you started Taekwondo at the age of 7 with Master Gary Sykes from All Stars, and that was in Doncaster, yeah?
Yeah, sunny Doncaster, yeah. At that time, there were so many clubs in Doncaster. There still is, actually, as you know. It's like a hub for Taekwondo. So I feel very lucky to have been born there and chosen probably one of the most, the biggest sports in that small town, which was just so weird when you think about it back then. So yeah, very lucky to walk into that club. And so obviously if I didn't, then I wouldn't be sitting here with you.
It's crazy how things happen, isn't it? You know, if you didn't do that one thing, then...
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So, and then obviously, Steve, you trained with Paul O'Brien, I think, if I'm right, from the UTA. I'm not sure how old you started. I mean, can you give us a little bit more information?
Yes, yeah. So I was 6 years old when I started. There's no fancy story, you know, why it's Taekwondo. Just my parents wanted me to do some martial arts, you know, for discipline, for self-defense. So yeah, Paul O'Brien was actually the chief instructor for the club. We were part of the UTA with Master Shin. But my actual first instructor was a guy named Jerry Woods. So he worked under Paul. So I worked with Jerry and Paul, for probably 10 years. I kind of really honoured as well to be a part of the UTA. Like I love Master Shin. I've got so much respect for Master Shin. So, you know, that was brilliant. It's a really good foundation, I think, for somebody who wants to be in martial arts for the whole life.
Yeah. No, great. Excellent. So, I mean, when was it you both realised that Taekwondo was your sport and was eventually to become your profession? Can you remember
I think I was a little bit later. I think people would assume maybe that I was competing really, really young, but I wasn't. I didn't really start. I mean, I did it when I was 7, but I was probably like 11 when I started to actually go into the ring. My mum didn't really want me to do it because I was a girl, which is not a bit sexist now, but, you know, 37 years ago, you know, 30 years ago, it was a slightly different mindset. And my brother, I think, always had her on pins. So she didn't want me to, you know, go through the same thing. But I think when I started fighting, she realised that, oh, she'll be all right because she's good. And I think then it made me believe that I was good at, but I was just like an athlete that just did as she was told, really, you know, and I had a really good coach to say, you know, stop moaning, get on with it, just do it, do what I say. And I just did it. So I think I was, you know, very lucky to have that mindset, just to trust my coach, have the respect to do exactly what I'm told and just go for it. And I think that's what kind of, I felt like I just did it. I didn't really know that I was going to do this forever. I would say I probably didn't really realise until I'd won the Junior Worlds in 1998 when I was 15. So it was the first time anyone had won any world title from our country. I think that's when I realised, oh, I'm actually quite good at this. So I didn't have as much confidence as people believed. I was just good. But I didn't know why. And I think that was when I thought, oh, I had to win a world title to believe that I was good at something.
No, that's good. I mean, looking back on it, it is crazy, isn't it? You know, it does take a good coach to kind of give you that confidence as well. And Gary is a great coach, to be fair, you know.
Yeah. And I think there's not many people who can respond to that kind of coaching. And I think at that time, Gary was very lucky that he had a lot of people that were just that, you know, in awe of him and did what they were told to do and trusted him. You know, a lot of kids wouldn't be able to do that, and that's fine. But, you know, I was one of those ones that were able to be under that kind of coaching, and it worked for me, and I still kind of have that mindset now. So he's like a parent to me in terms of what he's kind of given me and my values and my morals, like growing up. Even mum and dad did what they were told. So we all just kind of, whatever Gary said, we did. So
you go the line, that's it. You're like, okay,
trust
in the process.
That's the parents you want in your club, isn't it?
Definitely, 100%, yeah. And I must admit, all my parents are like that.
Oh, you're just saying that now. Look. I love all the parents in my club. Look, they're all going to watch this.
That's it, exactly, yeah. No, that's it. No, cool. And Steve, what about yourself? When was it that you decided that, or you noticed that this is it, you know?
Yeah, strangely, I never knew this, but very, very similar journey, very similar time. Yeah, same. I did used to compete when I was young, but we were a very like traditional club.
Yeah.
You know, but they did take us to competitions, and I used to compete and I used to enjoy it. Or maybe not so much when I was really young. I was really nervous, but I started to enjoy it. But it was never something where I thought, you know what, I'm like quite a good fighter. It's only very similar time. I think 97 was the first time that I went to like an international competition. Belgium, I think it was, 1997. So very similar timings. And then the next year, so 98, that was the first time I won the national championship. So, you know, to think, wow, like I'm the best in Britain at this. And obviously that got me onto the same team as Sarah. So yeah, not the same outcome. I didn't win that Junior Wales, but I was on the same team, you know.
Which is weird now.
Yeah, very weird.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was around that age. I'm a little bit older than Sarah, so I think I was like 16, 17 and you were 15. 15, yeah. But, you know, to think actually like I'm the best in the country at something, and now I'm getting to represent my country. That I think it was that time when I thought I'd love to do this more. I'd love, you know, it was a taste, and yeah, it was nice.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. And I mean, so Sarah, your first recorded medal at an international level was, I think, in 1997. All right, and that was a gold at the Belgian Open. And Steve, your first international medal was in 1998, and that also was a Belgian Open, which I think is quite bizarre, you know. So it's quite good. I mean, like you'd mentioned already that you both hadn't competed much before that. So how did it feel competing, you know, internationally? You know, like your first one. When you look back now, were you still nervous?
I can't remember being in Belgium, but I can remember the Worlds, and I remember, it's weird, I remember like little moments, and I remember I can't remember what day I was on, but I was so nervous. I used to like actually physically be sick. I used to get that nervous, you know, like a lot of kids do. And I remember just sitting there like looking at all the flags, just thinking, oh my God, this is like the biggest, the most scariest thing I've ever been to. And I remember never forget like sitting in that arena, because it was a massive arena, wasn't it? Or was it just because we were so young? I don't know. But I just remember feeling, wow, this is massive. And then just from there, like qualifying for the Olympics when I was 16, and then actually going to the Olympics at 17, I still felt the same way for the next couple of years.
And I think as well, when you go to an international, and like you say, you see all the flags, or you see the draw sheets and you know there's like maybe 70 or whatever in your weight division, you think you have to fight all of them, you know, because you're that naive. You think, oh my God, there's 70 in my weight division.
In his weight group, never in mine. There's never that many in mine, the heavier weights. Yeah. And to be honest with you, it's a lesson for the kids watching it. I never even knew anybody because I chose not to. I didn't know anyone. Mm-hmm. And that was even till I never watched anyone fight. I never watched videos back. I never watched myself back. I don't know. It worked for me. Yeah. So even when I went to like, we'll come on to that later, but when I won the Wales when I was 18 in Jeju, I didn't know that the person in the final was the Olympic champion.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
Until actually someone told me as I was just about to go onto the ring.
Really?
I won't reveal who that person is, but what a stupid thing to say.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Oh, she's Olympic champion, you know, Sarah. I'm like that. Thanks. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Oh man. But it didn't matter, you know. But we'll talk about that later. Yeah, definitely.
Talk about that later.
You know, for me,
I will hijack this. Look, see,
yeah, of
this
course,
is how it works.
of course, yeah.
See.
I'm used to it. Yeah, for me, I would say, like similar. I don't feel like I was, especially once I got to like teenager. I didn't ever feel that nervous, like for myself, that I was going to go and compete. And even internationally, I was probably more excited than anything. But I felt like exactly what Sarah just said there. I felt like everybody else made me nervous, you know, because I did feel a little bit like I was just going to go and compete. I was going to have a match. I was going to win or I was going to lose, you know, and I was kind of all right with that. But you know, you're fighting in your country, you're fighting Great Britain, and you know, they might be, I guess for a lot of people, they might be 2, 3, 4, 5, whichever category you're in of rivals, you know, in the country, and you think, oh, if I fight against this guy, it's going to be a tough fight or whatever. But when you go abroad, you know, same, we didn't really know any of them, but then you've got so many other people saying, oh, this country's really good, and that country's really good, and watch out if you come up against this country, and that made me more nervous. Like, and I feel like in Britain over the years, hopefully, I think that's something we've started to change now, and maybe other countries look at Britain and say, actually, Britain are quite good, you know. But I remember back then it was almost like, oh, you don't want to come up against this country, or you don't want to come up against that country, and everybody else probably made me more nervous than I actually felt, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Britain's now definitely up the top there now, so it's good, you know. I do think that it's about time the tables were turned in a sense, and they're nervous about our guys than the other way about, you know. So
definitely that. I just think the people around you, like parents, other coaches, other athletes, if we can all just kind of get together and say, right, these words are helpful, these words are not helpful, and let's just go and compete. Don't tell people anything. Don't ask them if they're nervous. That's like the worst question to ask. Are you nervous? Well, I don't really know how to respond, but you just made me nervous.
Should I be? That's it.
And I think that's because people don't really know what to say. It's no one's fault. I just think probably that's something that we should look at, you know, and it's very simple to do. Like, if your parents will say this to you, they don't know that that's negative. Just need a bit of education, you know, of what's helpful and what's not helpful. Do you know what I mean?
No, 100% agree. So, Steve, your job obviously now is elite coach within the GB Taekwondo. So, you've worked with some amazing athletes in your time as a coach. I mean, is there any one specific moment that sticks in your mind as that's why I became a coach? You know, I guess it's kind of like your proudest moment, you know?
Difficult. There's a lot, you know. I think the obvious ones are is when somebody like achieves something at the top level, you know. So if you coach somebody, like it was amazing for me to coach Sarah, like to win a world championships, you know, that was amazing to be the guy who was lucky enough to sit in the seat, you know. But you know, in no way was that solely down to me. There's so many people who, like she spoke about Gary and everybody else, and she won world championships and world medals and Olympic medals with different people in the seat, you know. So but yeah, to be able to do that, that's amazing. And then obviously Olympic medals, when GB won Olympic medals with Latalo, and even guys I haven't actually sat in the seat with, but you work closely with them in the gym, you know, so you're not in the seat. So I think it would be it'd be really easy to say them things, you know, world medals, Olympic medals, and yeah, when you look back, they're probably the first things that come into your head. But I also like I get a buzz from when almost someone overachieves. So whether that's overachieving to win an Olympic medal, or just overachieving to win your first G1 medal, or you know, your first European medal, say. I remember crazy. I remember Bianca. She walked and she started in my club, and there's so many times you're trying to get it. And I remember the very first time I was trying to get her to do a spin kick. I remember the very first time she scored a back kick. It was in the French Open, and I was like, wow, yeah. You know, it's like, I think if you're invested in the journey, it could be anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's maybe it's a bit cheesy, but like the easiest thing to say, world medals, Olympic medals, because it's the top level. But I just love seeing people almost achieve something or do something that they wasn't even sure that they could do. You know, that's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, it's good. Exactly. I mean, it doesn't, like you say, it doesn't have to be the top level. It can be just, you know, just seeing that person just make a change, you know, kicking the pad stronger than they used to or whatever. And you're like, wow, when did that happen? So yeah, I totally see that as well. Yeah, no, good. So you've both, on the elite athlete side of things, I mean, you've both been around elite athletes and have both reached that elite athlete status as well, you know, yourselves. So what is it you think that makes people elite? You know, their mindset, etc. What are the qualities of an athlete like that, or even like you, that makes the difference? You know, I know you'll be quite humble here, but you know, at the end of the day, you guys have got that mindset as well. You know, so what would you say it is?
It's hard, isn't it? That's a really tough question, because some people.
Yeah, it could be slightly different for some
slightly
people.
different. I think one thing that sticks in my head is professionalism. I think you can be really, really talented without you know this anyway. You know, you can be really talented and probably not make anywhere near where you're able to be. We've had a lot of people in the national team. I think I won't mention the names, but I've seen some that with not a lot of talent, natural talent, but have been so professional. You kind of wish that they had some of the talent, like some of the amazing athletes that we've got, you know, the Aaron Cook, the Taylor and all that, you know, you could see them just naturally talented. If you're professional, I think you can really get a lot further. And if you've got the talent to understand, just to know exactly like how to win that game of chess when you're in the ring, if you compare that up with professionalism, for me, like the end goal is just crazy. It could be, you know, the biggest thing you could achieve, a world champion or Olympic champion. So yeah, professionalism is one of the big things. Obviously you can't choose if you've got talent or not, or if you understand the game compared to another person, but you can choose to be professional. So that's one thing definitely for me.
Yeah, I've got a couple. Might not sound very nice, but you almost, to be like a top level athlete, you almost have to be a little bit selfish.
Yeah.
You know, and if you can be selfish and humble, that's amazing. You know, but you know, if I look back, I probably wasn't selfish enough to be top level. I'd say I've got to European standard. I wouldn't class myself as like a world class athlete, although I beat some world class fighters. You know, but I probably wasn't selfish enough when I look back now. And
trying to juggle.
Yeah,
your club still a lot.
Always
and
juggling.
coaching.
Yeah, and then I felt like I had a responsibility to my club, so it was almost like what my members needed was before what I needed. You know, so I definitely wasn't selfish enough as an athlete, I don't think. And yeah, I feel like every top level athlete has got a bit of that in them, and they need it. But then also just like desire and like so self-driven and motivated.
Alexa, stop. 1 minute.
This is a family part of the interview.
Shall we wait or should we carry on?
Just wait, it's fine, it's no problem. But yeah, I mean, you can carry on if you want.
No, because she'll put me off. She'll make
That's it. Yeah. So is that the tea ready, is it?
Yeah, she's put dinner in. We were hoping for my mum to have the kids, you know, but she couldn't. So we're trying to make sure the kids' dinner's ready for as soon as we're finished.
You know what? That's what life's about, isn't it? It's about juggling all these different things and spinning all the plates.
I'll do some coaching questions and I'll be like 2 minutes and I'm done.
No problem at all.
Yeah. So yeah, if I just continue, yeah. So I think like a self-drive, a desire, motivation, like definitely I feel like as a coach you get the best results when you can guide somebody, when you're the person who always has to push, where sometimes it can feel like you want it more than they want it.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's very rare then people get to the top. You know, it's the guys who are like, they're so motivated and like, can I have more? Can I have more? Can I have another one? Can you do extra with me? Can you know, them people like where you just have to steer and guide. You know, you're not the person behind doing all the work. And then people, you almost, as a coach, you almost have to protect them from themselves. you know, in some ways, because they will overtrain, or they'll be so tough on themselves, you know, probably got like some fear of failure as well, you know, and they'll be so hard on themselves, and you almost have to, protect them from themselves. But they're the guys who generally get there, the ones where you're like, come on, like you can do it, and you have to push for them, and you have to hold their hand. Like they can get to a good level, but it's the other guys who've got a crazy like internal motivation, you know, that they're the guys who tend to make it, I think.
I'm just gonna add on to that, because you know what, you could actually sit and say, oh my God, the stray cat. We've got a stray cat that just comes in our house. Oh God.
Sarah, you're a joke.
Come on. Sorry.
But it is, as an athlete, and it is, you know, everybody looks at an athlete and thinks that it's just they turn up and they fight and they win and that's it, you know. But the reality is, it's, you know, it's not so much that. You have to be driven, like you say. You have to want it, but you have to have, like you said there, a coach that's going to guide you along that path. Because, you know, if you let people just do what they want, they'll just go off on a tangent and that's it, you know. So you're right, you have to pull them back in and just, and I think, like, as an athlete, you have to trust the process. You know, you have to believe in what's happening is going to take you there as well, you know. So you're driven, but you have to trust it, you know. So, but anyway, Sarah, sorry.
No, it's like, if you're professional, because you could go all around the words like resilient, confident, determined, but if you're professional and you're willing to learn everything because you're professional, you know, you'll learn to be resilient because you'll go and speak to a psychologist that's available to you if you have that. You know, if you feel like you need to get stronger, you'll go and see the S&C coach and you'll ask to go through the plan with them. You know, like, if you want to learn how to be confident, well, you've got to learn how to own your own journey. So you do that by using everyone around you, by being professional and learning how to be the best that you can be. All the other skills kind of come into play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. No, that's good. So just like, obviously, talking about, you know, in the GB thing, I mean, the Fighting Chance has been very successful program for GB, you know, to find that next, like, Taekwondo champion. I mean, what advice would you give a young martial artist, not necessarily from Taekwondo, to progress through the Fighting Chance or a similar program in their country, and hopefully one day the Olympic podium, you know? So what would you say?
Yeah, I think, like, GB, we've had a lot of success from the Fighting Chance initiatives. And if I'm honest, I was quite skeptical at first, you know, when, like, UK Sport and Gary Hall at GB Taekwondo said we're gonna do. I was a bit like, really? You're gonna take somebody from that style and compare to this style? And, you know, I was like, I'm not sure, but let's try. And kind of like, maybe we felt like we had to try as well. You know, it's we haven't actually got that, the talent pool in Britain isn't actually that big. You know, if you were to look at senior, like, so age 18 plus black belt fighters who are actively trying to be a successful fighter in WTF style, that are part of British Taekwondo in the country, you know, outside of the National Academy. I was going to say maybe 40 or 50, but that was maybe over egging, you know, like, you could, and there's very few because it's tough, you know. So I think it is something like we had to do, and we've had a lot of success from that. Every time, you know, I've been asked this question so many times, and I feel like people don't believe me when I give them the answer, but they're told on the day when they arrive for their trial, they get told 3, 4, 5 times. Like, for us, we feel like we can teach people skills, you know, so we can teach you techniques, we can teach you tactics. Not necessarily, some people might take longer to get it than other people, and some people can just quit. But the main thing we look for is just what I spoke about before, like heart and fight and passion and desire, you know, attitude. Yeah, and we'll see. I see so many, and they get told that 3, 4, 5 times. We say, we don't care about the score. We don't care who wins or loses. Sometimes we even turn the scoreboard off because we don't care. We don't care what the score. We don't care who wins and loses. We just want to see attitude and passion and desire and hunger and fight, you know, them type of things. And the amount of times I'll sit there, you know, as a judge, if you like Simon Cowell, you know, I'll sit there and, you know, some guy will be winning 1-0. And I'm like, come on then, you know, and the other guy's a little bit scared, so he doesn't do nothing. And this guy's winning 1-0 and he's happy because he's winning 1-0. So he's just waiting. And I'm thinking, guys, like we've been told. And honestly, I got asked again 2 weeks ago from a younger kid who's going to try out as well. And I can't stress enough that is pretty much all we look for. Mm-hmm. Like that's the main thing.
Mm-hmm. No, that's cool. So talking about obviously those skills and that, you know, I remember being in Korea in Jeju Island back in 2001, watching the World Championships, where both of you actually competed, you know. And Sarah, you made a little bit of history there, you know. I was sitting next to my friend who was on the Korean national team at the time. He was fighting in -72, Jun Woo-il, and we were both watching you fight the Chinese fighter Zhong Chen, yeah, and beat her. What's that?
I was getting beat up in the first round.
Yeah, you might have been, but you know, finishing 10-7 to become the first British world champion. I mean, I was buzzing for you, and I was just watching. I mean, how did that make you feel? Both of you feel, really?
Yeah, it was definitely something I didn't expect. And the funny thing was, even Gary Sykes, he even said to me, "Don't expect anything too much, Sarah. Just do your best."
Yeah. It takes the pressure off.
We joke about that now because that was actually the first time that he didn't sit in my seat. Right, okay. So I've started Taekwondo at 7, you know, 11 years later, and it was the first time that he wasn't in my chair. So obviously we didn't know how that was going to go. But testament to his coaching skills, like I could do it because he'd made me take ownership for myself, and it doesn't matter who's sitting in your seat. You know, you've got to be professional and be able to do it yourself. You know, you can't just rely on the coach. So yeah, that was one thing that probably, I suppose, went against me a little bit. Shouldn't really say that because Gary Hall was my coach, so no, it was my seat. And this is claim to fame, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, definitely. That's number one on the claim to fame list. That's it.
Got one over on Gary Sykes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an amazing competition. I think I had like 5 fights. The first time I'd actually gone into the heavier weight group as well. So I'd always done the weight below. I even qualified in the weight below and chose to go with the weight above because it was getting a little bit tougher. And I was way underweight as well. But that again was kind of how I was brought up. I'll just go in the weight above. Yeah. I'll just be fine without Gary. Let's just go for it. You know, it doesn't mean I wasn't nervous. It just means I was able to adapt. And yeah, I remember like, obviously, everyone, I think, lost first fight or maybe second fight. I think
there was a couple of people won one match.
And we had a full team, didn't we? Because if you won the Nationals, you
most
won.
Most of us lost first fight.
We were the ones on the draw that everyone wanted. And then, so for me to go and win was just crazy. I even remember, like, I think I was going up against Korea in the next fight or something. And she was, like, looking at the draw, like, as if, well, if I'll beat Great Britain. And I was thinking, cheeky cow. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just obvious that they just assumed they were going to win. And, you know, getting to the final against China, the current Olympic champion, obviously I was still quite young, you know, we were all quite young and underprepared, I suppose, in that era. So I don't think anyone expected me to win, especially when I was 4-0 down in the first round, which it was only 1 point for a head.
Yeah, that was it, yeah.
And obviously it wasn't easy to score. You know, 4-0, what would that mean nowadays?
About 1K?
10-0?
Yeah.
I remember that it was a big,
that's how it felt.
That was a big gap. That was probably about 10-0 down in the first round. Now everyone's thinking, oh God, you know, she's not going to win. And I just remember sitting back in the chair thinking, this is embarrassing. And I honestly never forget. It's weird how you don't forget. Cause you could ask me any other question. I can't remember my first fight or anything like that. I can remember like thinking, Sarah, you are embarrassing yourself. And Doncaster. Everyone in Doncaster, Gary's thinking, what are you doing here? And I thought, right, that was how I won that World Championships because I didn't want to be embarrassed. That is what got me through. And then I ended up winning. So I don't know you know, turned it round. I think the second round was like 5-4, so I got near enough, got back up, and then I ended up winning 10-7, which again, that was a clearish lead, you know. It was amazing though, because I don't think anyone expects it. Obviously, it was amazing for Gary Hall and the team to obviously then go back to UK Sport and receive funding for a small number of people, because we've got the world medal now. So, you know, I feel privileged to be in a part of that journey and to help out others get onto the pathway, and myself, because I was working full time in a normal 9-to-5 job at that point. That was my only ever job, proper job. Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. I'll never forget it. And it's just, I'm so honoured that it was me, you know, that it happened to. So
yeah, I remember.
We weren't together then, by the way.
No, we wasn't together then. Yeah, but yeah, I was there again on a team. Like a lot of our journeys, like follow each other, and we used to win. I think we even figured out. I'm sure we got our
black belt second
our second dan on the same day as well. But yeah, obviously, yeah, we wasn't together. Yeah, I remember it as well. Just a little bit the same, you know, like most of us, like I said, had lost first or second match. Majority of people lost first match. That's how it was back then, unfortunately. You know, majority of us lost, and Sarah was going through the rounds, and then it almost like, I don't know, it was just like it was gonna happen.
Yeah, you just grew with it. You're like, yes, it's it. Yeah.
You know, Sarah said there, like how she felt. I said again, like fear of failure. You're like, oh, I'm embarrassed. You know, like
I was so embarrassed.
But I remember we were just, especially when she won, like because it's one thing getting a medal, and then she won the semi-final, and we were like, oh, this is it. Like, you know, and we were so happy. And I remember us all singing and dancing, you know, in the crowd. And then after the first round, we were like,
everyone went quiet, like, oh.
Yeah, we were like, oh, I remember that. I remember it so cool.
I remember that.
Yeah. She's like looking at us for help, and we were like, yeah. So yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, crazy time. You know, I want to just talk about as well. Like, I didn't realize it was the first time Gary didn't coach Sarah, but you know, like Sarah said, almost like the effect that like Gary's had on Sarah's journey. It's incredible now. Honestly, if you see Sarah and Gary together, they're like. It's weird. They're like one person. You know, you know Gary very well. I mean, everybody knows Gary.
Sorry, carry on.
Everybody knows Gary, you know, and his personality, and they just like, I don't know, they bring out the best of each other. It's like it's almost like a little mini clone of Gary's crazy side. You know, I love seeing them together. You know, and it is amazing. You know that all these years later he's still in your life. You know, it's good.
I haven't seen him as much recently, but I think it's like, if I need sorting out or I need telling off, your husband and wife, sometimes they can't do that, can they? You know, yourself,
too close. Yeah.
When you've not got your parents, like obviously it would have been, would have probably still been Gary to say, what the heck are you doing? Like, so, you know, he's swearing and shouting at me. And sometimes I need that, you know, we all need that person on the outside to kind of reiterate what the person closest to you is saying, and kind of he's still that person to me, really, and it's really good. It gives me confidence, you know.
Good, excellent. Good. So in your Taekwondo career, you would go on to fight Chen again, and that would be at the Olympics in Beijing 2008. So you beat her again, and I think, to be fair, yeah, you did. You know, I mean, to be fair, I think that match in itself, you know, you've changed British Taekwondo, but you've also changed the world of Taekwondo now, I would say, you know, because forever the introduction of video replay has changed Taekwondo so much, you know. It's made it a much fairer sport. It's made it much better. So, you know, that match did change Taekwondo, really, you know. So, I mean, how tense was it behind the scenes at that moment?
It definitely was life-changing. I think if they hadn't have changed the decision, I wouldn't have carried on. I would have just, I don't know how long I would have carried on with the sport, because I didn't trust Taekwondo anymore. I didn't believe in it anymore. I fell out of love with it in the space of 5 minutes. All those feelings go through your head when you're cheated out of, it wasn't even cheated out of a medal, it was cheated out of the journey. On that day, I was like, I've never been so focused and so in the zone. And for someone else to take that away from you it was really, really hard. Probably the worst thing that had ever happened to me, to be honest, at that point. But to then going through how that would feel, all those emotions, to then someone saying you're on in 10 minutes, actually 5 minutes.
Yeah, not even 10 minutes, yeah.
It really, how do you get your head back into that, the mindset where you was never been so in the zone? And that was the next fight, was whoever won that semi-final was going to win the Olympics. And she did. She beat me and went to win the Olympics, which, you know, that was, yeah, it's hard. Now I can talk about it, but it was so hard to talk about. And, you know, it's just everyone's dream, isn't it? But to then, you know, obviously the decision got changed, and I walked out against Mexico. The crowd are expecting, you know, Chen Zong to come out, their hero, and she didn't. Donnie Gill came out, and they weren't very happy. They were very angry at the Donnie Gill. So, you know, when you've got 95% of the crowd wanting you to lose, that really didn't help the situation.
Oh,
There was a lot of cheering for Mexico, a lot of booing for me, and also, you know, I would admit I wasn't ready for that fight, and you know, I'm usually mentally really good, but for that fight I was not ready at all. It was just a complete mess.
It was too much to ask, really, wasn't it? You know,
Yeah,
to have that, and then all of a sudden going again, you know, whoa.
You can't prepare for that. No matter how much good psychology training you have, you can't really prepare for that whatever happened there is, you know, it's completely unwritten. It's never happened before. It's never probably going to happen again.
Yeah,
but again, it happened to me.
Yeah.
Everything seems to always happen to me. But yeah, I think it was when I came off and I obviously had another chance to go for a bronze, which is not what I went for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But again, my mentality was very similar to the 2001. Was, you know, you can have all this psychology training, all this elite, you know, professional training, but you've got to go back to your roots. And that's kind of always what got me through, was like, listen, I've had a really bad day. This is my third Olympics. There's no way on this earth I'm going to embarrass myself and go home without a medal.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what got me to win the bronze medal. And I'm not even going to lie, I couldn't even walk, to be honest. I'd done severe damage to my ankle, to which I've got few pins in there now. I didn't know that at the time. I had an injection in there, so I couldn't actually feel my right ankle. So if you actually watch that fight, I could hardly really kick. And as soon as the adrenaline went, I literally couldn't walk. I couldn't put any weight on it. I had to get a medal on crutches. I'm like the walking sob story, aren't I? Do you know what I mean? But, you know, I came through it, and I can talk about it now and maybe help others, you know, about mental resilience and mental strength and how to overcome adversity and everything like that. So, you know, it's 12 years later, I'm older, I'm wiser, I've gone through a lot worse, I've got children. So you know, you can talk about it and use it for, you know, use it for positive for others. But yeah, it was a roller coaster day. I wouldn't say it's one of the best days of my life, definitely not. You can't do, can you, you know, but to win a medal for Great Britain, it was still our target to win one medal. And I'm very grateful and honoured that it was me. So yeah, and I'm grateful that I hopefully had a, you know, a hand in changing the sport for a better, fairer, equal way. Even if you don't like it sometimes, because, you know, it has changed quite a lot. But everyone's in the same boat. It's a lot more fairer, and, you know, it's so much better than people taking that decision out of your hands. You're a lot more in control of your destiny from what happened in that Olympics. So I'm really proud that I've had a part of that.
I mean, if you look at like the Grand Prix, it's like the one with the all-round video cameras. You know, I mean, they're amazing now. You know, and that all started from introducing video replay. You know, so it's totally changed the game. You know, so
it had to, didn't it? Else we run the risk of not being in the Olympics anymore. And the only reason why, you know, potentially they changed the decision. I didn't know, because I was just ready to go home on a plane. Like, I didn't have a clue what was going on. I remember, like, at the time we had our president, Adrian Tranter, who, like, he was just so good on that day. He was like ready to, he rallied all the coaches up in the back room. They were all ready. They've all had enough of being treated unfairly and people taking the decision out of your hands and blatantly cheating. I think that was the pinnacle where I think it was just going to cause some sort of riot. I think they were all ready to, like, go onto the ring or do something that the Olympics didn't want to see. Hence why they had to change the decision, or else they were going to be...
It was justice, you know what I mean? It was justice. You scored the point, you get the points, you know what I mean? That's it, you know? So
and it was so good that we got that justice in the end. Obviously, it didn't really help me, because I think I could have won gold.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I might not have done, but I would have liked to have had the opportunity to do it myself. But yeah, justice.
Yeah, I remember I'd not long retired as an athlete. So 2007, that's when I changed over and just become a coach. So at the time, we had Nelson, like, you know, he still works with us now. Nelson Sands Miller, you know, Cuban guy. He was the head coach. You know, when I was fortunate enough to go along as like the assistant coach. So I was actually in Beijing as a assistant coach. That was my first experience of an Olympics, and I just remember, like Sarah said, they never overturned a decision before. We didn't really think for 1 minute they were going to overturn the decision. You know, and generally what happens is you put in a protest, but the competition day continues, and the next match happens, and then it's like, well, we're too late now. You know, the next match, but you know, and I think we were fortunate in some way. I remember there was some British journalists. I'm not sure, you know, who it was, but you do some British journalists, and they were running around crazy with laptops, like saying, "What is this?" Like, and they're showing everybody these laptops, and you know, it couldn't be any more clear. You know, if anyone wants to watch the video now, you know. So for me, it wasn't even just that.
It wasn't that one kick. Like it was the whole match.
Sarah kicked it all around the ring for 3 rounds and didn't get any points. It was crazy, but then. But that was so clear at the end with, I don't know, 2-3 seconds to go or wherever it was, you know. And I think having all them journalists kind of helped, really. I remember Gary Hall, you know, he went off and put in a protest, and he was taking these laptops with him and, you know, showing videos and photos. And we didn't think for 1 minute they were going to change the decision. And like, I remember, so Gary was off doing that. I remember Adrian, he was in the back room. And like Sarah said, it was so good. I remember him saying, "Don't allow this to happen again," and he's just shouting at random people. But then they were going, "Yeah,
he was
right.
pretty cool.
He's going to never be together, yeah."
He's like, they were like, "Enough," you know. And I remember the
it was the end.
They were trying to. I didn't like. We were together at this point. We got together in 2005, so we were together at this point. I don't even know where Sarah was. I remember they were trying to get the Chinese girl and the Mexican girl in. So they were trying to continue. And I remember the GB party, but then also some other people who, you know, bought into Adrian as well, like fair play. I remember that, like, we blocked the way. We said, no, we're not allowing this match to go ahead until you make a decision. And we were pretty certain they were going to say no, you know, decision stands, because that's how it was. Yeah. But I remember saying, no, this competition is stopping until you deal with this. And so we blocked the way, and we had some people that you know, thankfully were with us as well. And I remember, I don't know the guy's name, but I remember him coming out. I don't know if you remember, like with his mic.
He's on my motivational videos.
Yeah,
we didn't say it in Cantonese, so the Chinese crowd didn't know that I was coming out.
Actually, he only announced it in English. And I remember him saying, according to the rule book, and I think the actual rule book was, you couldn't even protest, or because they always change the rules of that.
They changed it 5 minutes.
And I remember, like, I was like, effing rule book, and I was kicking all the chairs over, and I was like, ah. And then they changed it. I was like, what? Like, yeah. And then I was like in charge of the warm-ups. Like Nelson was the head coach, and he was, you know, he's the guy who sat in the seat, you know, top guy, and so I was like, God, we better start warming up. And I remember they said, you've got 5 minutes. And Nelson come and said, Steve, 5 minutes. I was like, Nelson, get 10 minutes. Try and get us 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So he went back again, and then he come back, and he said, 10 minutes. I said, okay. And I remember I started my watch. You started. Sarah was Sarah was crying when we found. I was like, come on. And so I started my watch. So thinking, right, we've got 10 minutes. And they come over. I think it was 4 minutes. They come over and said, you've got to go now. You have to go now. And I was like, what? I mean, how was somebody supposed to, like, I thought it was Sarah, China or Mexico was going to win the gold that day. All in the same quarter. There was no seats back then. They were all in the same quarter, you know. So, you know, super tough match next. And Espinoza, like, you know, she's
still going now.
3 Olympic medals, you know, a legend. So, yeah, I think, you know, to pick yourself up and win a bronze. And I don't know if you even realise, but you said your right foot's knackered. Every point you scored in the bronze medal fight was with your left. Yeah, it was all left, because you couldn't use your right. So, yeah, it's crazy day, to be honest.
but you know, you came home with the bronze. You won the bronze, which is great. And did you come back and receive your MBE then? Did you go?
No, that was after I'd won the 2011 Worlds.
Right, okay, yeah. And was it at the Buckingham Palace? And
yeah, it was at Buckingham Palace, and I got the Queen, so that was cool.
Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, I got to meet the Queen, have a little chat with her.
Yeah.
I just had an ACL reconstruction, so I was on crutches, which was a bit embarrassing. I shouldn't have really gone down on the train, but you know, what could be worse, you know?
That's it, yeah. No, great. I mean, so both of you both competed pre-funding, so you know, no full-time centres, etc. I mean, and how difficult was that? You know, I mean, Steve, you were running your club elite taekwondo at the time. I mean, in those days, did that help or make it worse?
At the time, I thought it was helping. You know, looking back now, it probably made it worse. Yeah. But at the time, I thought it was helping because it's, you know, taekwondo was my dream. All I was doing was taekwondo, really. You know, at the start, when I first started my club, I did have like a side job. But as soon as I was earning enough money from my clubs, it was right. Taekwondo was everything. So at the time, I thought that's how it has to be. Like now my life is taekwondo. But before long, especially when I started getting some fighters that were quite good, before long, you start putting the club and them before yourself, which. Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. Maybe I wasn't selfish enough, and you know, I've got some crazy stories. I remember coaching at competitions and fighting at the same competitions, and I think my first ever international gold medal was in Belgium. I think it was. I don't know what year, but it was my first international gold medal was in the Belgium Open, and I honestly remember between my quarter-final, semi-final, and final, I didn't take my body armor off. You know, because it wasn't electronics. I had it on, and literally I finished my fight, and I'd run over to another ring, and I coach one of my athletes who's doing really good, and then I'd be back to my ring, and I still body armor, you know, and at the time I thought, taekwondo is my life. That's how it has to be. But you know, in hindsight, the club, I was so passionate about them doing well as well. It might have been easier to just have a normal job and just focus on myself as, you know.
But then, like, would you have overthought stuff, you know? Because you're like, for me, like sitting in your body armor and then going to coach, you're not worrying about who you're fighting. You're just like throwing on the ring, and like you're not thinking about the other stuff that's quite negative. What all our young people think about now, they all know too much. You know, a lot of them do. I think, in my opinion, some of them know too much and they worry too much. Then, but like you didn't have to think, did you? You just
literally
straight in. I prefer that.
Probably my biggest problem was who was going to sit in my chair. I would sit and like coaching one of my athletes, and you know, they might win or whatever, but then they shout on Stephen Jennings to ring one, like, and I'd be running over and I'd be just shouting. Any British people in the car, can you sit in my chair? Can you sit, you know? So definitely, you know, it's sometimes it is good not to know.
Sure, the cleaner sat in your chair once.
Yeah, I've had everybody. Everybody's been in them.
Yeah. So Sarah, you were the same. You know, when you were competing, the same, not fun, no full-time centre and everything as well. But you know, I don't know. Did you ever think about getting maybe sponsorship by, I don't know, maybe somebody like Jackie Chan or something? You know, I mean, that I remember that story, and I was like, that is an amazing story. I mean, was it amazing?
Well, it was amazing. I did meet him when I was.
You've got an amazing photo, haven't you?
I have got a pretty cool photo.
Cool. Yeah.
I'll have to send it to you, but you know, like, he was really famous then. Was he still? I mean, I loved him. I thought he was really funny. I thought he was really talented. I'd like read his book and everything. Yeah. And it was the time that they did the Shanghai Noon, Shanghai Nights films. Yeah. I think it was the Shanghai Nights, the second one. They were great films. I do, you know, I'm not just saying that because I met him there, but they were funny films, and it was the time he was promoting that in London. So at the time it was me and Colin Daly, a lad from London, who went to Sydney Olympics. So we were like invited to go down and do like a demonstration for Jackie Chan. There's some other martial artists there as well. And then we got private pictures with him. So we were allowed to go like into a private area. There were no press there or anything. But like my Gary's partner at the time, Helen, she got some pictures of us with him. So we're not really allowed any cameras or anything like that. And it was just so much fun. It was just so nice. And then just this story came up that it gave me money. which is on my Wikipedia page, and everyone always asks me this question, and I never received a check, so I don't know where this sponsorship came from. I'm still waiting for it, to be honest. But it's a nice story. It's a nice thing to talk about. But yeah, I'm still waiting for that money, like, to be honest.
Maybe it's in the post, you know.
Both 12 years, 20 years later.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So I mean, Sarah, basically there's so many committees and experiences to talk about. I couldn't list them all or talk about them all. I mean, I know you've done so many things with, like, obviously the World Taekwondo and British Taekwondo, and just loads of things in your fitness stuff as well. I mean, there's so much going on in your life, to be honest. I mean, I could just sit here for an hour and rattle off all the things that you've been doing in your life, to be honest. So, I mean, I'm not going to do that because we don't have time for that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, what are you currently doing? And things like that.
1 minute. We'll change the. Give it to Daddy. I'll sort it now. We've got to put kids stuff.
An intruder.
So obviously this is one thing. So we have the children. Oh my God, Daddy, 1 minute. We have the children. That's a hard job. That's the hardest job in the world, definitely. Because they don't care who you are, do they, or what you've achieved, and all of a sudden, no, they don't care who you are, what you've done.
You're just like, you know what I mean? That's it. Your mum. Yeah.
And what Steve was saying, you've got to become from being selfish. I was selfish, but I believe I was a very humble athlete and a very humble person, and I would never, feel like I was above myself. But I was selfish in the terms that I wanted this, and I'd ask everyone around me to make sure they've done all their work, that they need to get me to where I need to be, and appreciate everything that they did for me, but let's be amazing at it. So yeah, selfish in that way. And then to completely be selfless and put yourself at the back is so alien to an athlete. I think, to me, I really struggle. I still struggle now, to be honest. But since I've got a little bit older and I've come to terms with not being an athlete anymore, because I think that takes a long, long time, and that's probably another conversation to have about retirement and how you can manage your mind around that. It is another minefield, and many people have mental health struggles around that. But I think I do it to myself. I think of all these things. I think, well, that'll be good. Oh, I like that. And at first, for the first few years, I used to think that I didn't have a purpose. I used to think that just I'm retired and I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to do loads of different things. And then I kind of had this conversation with a lady, and I had like a bit of a light bulb moment. And I thought, well, this is good. This is fine. This is actually me being Sarah, trying to always better myself and create more opportunities and open more doors. So I say I do like it, because I don't sometimes. Obviously, who likes to be all over the place? But I do it to myself, and I think it's the way that I am, and I should be proud of it. That, an opportunity came up in lockdown. I did online training, and I'm thinking, why am I not charging people for this? This is great, and I love it. It ticks the million boxes for us, for the family. The kids get to see fitness. The kids get to be brought around a healthy lifestyle and get to see that fitness is a normal thing to do. And other people get to join in with me from home and pay literally pennies to do that. And we all have a great time. And obviously I'm on the board of British Taekwondo, which I absolutely love, especially now we've got such a great team. And that's a completely different world to be in, from being an athlete to being in a business. It's, it really took a while for me to get to grips with it. But I'm at the point now where I'm really, really proud of what we're all trying to achieve, and grateful to Ian Leaf, this new CEO, who's just incredible at the moment, what he's trying to do, and as a board. So yeah, it's a very different world. It's only it's a few meetings a year, but quite a lot of commitment in terms of we've got to get it right. I'm obviously the president of British Taekwondo at the moment, which at the first, when I got that, I wasn't really sure what I was doing or what I was supposed to do. And if I really, really wanted it, I'll be honest, it's not a world that I would have liked to be involved in originally.
I've got a funny story.
But I'm very proud that I am. I'm very proud to be British Taekwondo president. It takes a while to get to that point, doesn't it? Because you need that confidence in yourself in that role. And I'm very proud that I can help especially Ian, the CEO, because obviously previously the CEO would be the president. So doing all the work at home and then having to represent us internationally and mingle with all, you know, all the international relations stuff, which is a difficult job and not many people enjoy that. You know, I don't really say I enjoy it, but, you know, I'm very grateful that UK Sport and GB Taekwondo have supported me. I'm on a international relations course with UK Sport, so I'm just getting to learn so much about that world, getting so much more support. I'm getting to meet other people from different sports in that world that I can ask for advice, you know, especially about being a female in a very, very male, older age world. You know, I'm probably 40 years younger than most of those people, and that's not disrespect. And I'm a female. It's difficult world to be in, but I've learned so much the last 2 years, and I'm starting to really enjoy it now. I feel like I can make a positive influence and a positive impact, because I hate doing anything if I'm just there to tick a box. And that's why I'm just trying to learn this role. But yeah, I'm enjoying it now. I was very, very daunted at the start, I must admit, and I was very wary of everything really. But it's just a different world now. Everyone comes together. Everyone wants this to work. You know, if we've got people in good positions in World Taekwondo Europe, we can really start to make positive influences and changes. And it's just, yeah, it's something I'm quite passionate about now. So I'm also on 2 committees for World Taekwondo. So the chair of the Taekwondo for All committee. Again, I'd never been a chair of anything before, so that was a new thing. So the first committee meeting, I spoke to like the chair of British Taekwondo. I spoke to a few people, you know, GB Taekwondo and UK Sport, and they gave me lots of tips and advice. And I felt like I winged it pretty well on the first one. So now I'm getting into the flow of that, and I'm vice president of the Member and Relations Committee, which takes the pressure off a little bit because I'm not the chair, but I can still, you know, see what's going on and have an impact. But it's like another world that I never thought I would enjoy, but I'm starting to enjoy. So it's just crazy. But just to answer the actual question, I also do personal training as well, which I love. But it works. It does really work, because Steve's away so much. I could never just do a normal 9-to-5 job. We haven't got a lot of, you know, lots of support here. You know, we've got some great family and friends. But I feel like, because I haven't got my mum, I feel like that would be the person to say, can you watch the kids for an hour? Can you watch the kids? It's easier when it's your own mum and dad, because I've not got that. You feel like you haven't got as much, but, you know, I probably have. We're very lucky in some ways. But if you have a normal job, how are you going to pick the kids up from school? How are you going to nursery? You know, it just works. So we are very good at planning. So we try to plan every Sunday night. We plan our week. In that week, Steve puts the hours that he's in work. I fit all my clients around Steve being in work, taking the kids to nursery. I even plan what we're going to eat, so I can make a food, I can go shopping. So it's very similar to being an athlete. You're planning what you're going to do in the week. You're being professional, but making sure that you've always got a lot of happy things in there as well. So we always plan like family time, date nights, and it could be the smallest things, just like sitting at a table having a meal. Yes. Daddy, take you to the toilet 1 minute. So again, being professional, planning, but that's all well and good. But you've got to look after yourself and put the happy things in. So that's very important. And again, that could be another conversation. And that's just using the skills from being an athlete, how you manage all these new exciting opportunities. You know, you should always think of them as being opportunities. You always say yes to everything, and then you can always turn it down, you know. But planning is key. Planning is the
no, that's good. So I mean, you were talking about about GB, about British Taekwondo back then, and I must admit, you know, I have to say, put my hand on my heart here, they have been amazing during lockdown and during coronavirus. The information that has been put out there has been really, really good. I've been very impressed with it, to be honest.
That's great to hear them kind of things, you know. Yeah,
it's really good. No, I mean, I'm really impressed with what they've done from a club point of view, you know. So yeah, the work's getting done. You know, you are hitting the targets and you're doing the right thing, which I think is very, very good.
That's just testament to the staff, you know, in Manchester. You know, the board can't take any credit from that. They've just,
it's about everybody working together, you know, which never used to happen. So it's great that it does now, you know. So it's good.
just great to be part of something really professional, like really driven, that we really want to be the best we can be, you know. And it's everyone's got the same mindset, which is fantastic, and there's no agendas. We're all just kind of working towards that end goal, and we don't know what that end goal is yet. We're working really hard on our, you know, our strategy meeting. We're having a lot of strategy meetings, so hopefully we can show, you know, the members what we're trying to achieve. But yeah, it's a positive thing to be a part of, to be honest. It was originally a tough thing to be a part of.
No, good. So,
Great.
yeah, great. So, I mean, so Steve, I mean, what's happening at GB just now? I mean, is everyone ramping up, you know, they're training for 2021? I mean, what is your coaching role just now? What's happening?
Yeah, so I'm the lead coach for the male team at the moment. So yeah, I'd say strange circumstances for everybody, for the whole world, really. But all of our guys are back training in Manchester. You know, we've got some restrictions in terms of like the coaches have to wear the PPE kit, and we can only have small groups of athletes. I think the biggest groups we have are like 4 or 5 athletes. So it's like quick turnaround, one group in, they come out, the next group comes in, you know. But, you know, testament to the athletes, really, they've just got on with it. You know, the other choice is that they stay at home and they try and train in a garage if they got one, or some of them were stuck in the front room. They had no space, you know. So they've all come back. They've all got on with it. I give them so much credit because they don't even know when they're going to compete next. And, you know, fighters do this sport because they want to compete, they want to fight, they want to win. And we can't even tell them when the next tournament's going to be, you know, but we can say to them, there's a lot of other countries that are getting on with it as well, you know, and you either try and keep pushing or you get left behind, you know. So it's definitely for 2020, which is 2021 now, the Olympics, you know, the goalposts have moved massively. It's not even like a month or, you know, it's a whole year difference. It's big, and it would be easy for some people to go, oh, I'll just take my foot off the gas for a little bit, you know. And but yeah, we know that the countries with depth, you know, Korea, China, Iran, Russia, nothing's going to change for them. You know, they don't have to leave their country for training camps like we do. You know, I was saying earlier we struggle for depth. They don't. You know, you've been to Korea how many times, Spike? You go to one university and they've got 40, 50 world-class athletes there. So they're just going to keep cracking on. You know, like, so we've got no choice than to try and remind the athletes of that and to try and keep them going. Yeah, honestly, fair play. I give them so much credit that all of them are fully bought in. They're all back in Manchester. They're all training. You know, they probably ask me every other day, any news yet? When can I fight? You know, but we're just looking at, this is an opportunity to be better at the end of it. Whenever the end is, whenever we can travel and we can compete, if we're not better than we are now, then it's silly. It's time wasted, you know. So if it's in 3 months, if it's in 6 months, you know, we want them to have added new skills or, you know, more to their repertoire than they've got now. And that's kind of how we've approached it. They've all fully bought in. And like I said, I can't give them enough credit, really.
That's excellent. No, good. So, you know, obviously lockdown did see, like you say, a lot of them were training in garages and stuff, but a lot of them were putting their training on Instagram and stuff like that as well, on social media. And I tell you, from a coach's point of view, it was really, really interesting and really good for my players as well to watch those guys training. So, I mean, how important would you rate, you know, social media, you know, to inspire the next generation, you know?
Yeah, do you know, I'm probably the wrong person to ask. I don't go on social media that much, but I do understand how much of a massive tool it is, you know, and Sarah's quite good, you know,
Quite
much better than me, you know. We've done the same, like I said before. Sarah's she's launched a little business, you know, over lockdown. I think it was 11 weeks. We were just doing sessions, like just fitness sessions, not taekwondo, fitness sessions in our garden, 4 times a week, free for anybody to join in. And
they were really popular. I remember I'd logged in a couple of them. I was like, wow, this is good, you know. So it was good to watch that as well. Yeah.
We loved it, and it kept us motivated. And it was like, we have to train, so there's something to do.
Yeah.
It's going to help us mentally and physically. So let's let someone else share that kind of positivity during these times. And then obviously when it all went back to normal, it's like, okay, we can make something, you know, for everyone to carry on with it, really.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like Sarah said earlier, good for our kids to be around it. You know, she wants to be a bit family orientated. So yeah, she's got business, what's it called? Inspires at Home. I don't even know what it's called.
At Home.
But yeah,
you should know that. You should know that.
Sorry.
We did a lot of Zoom, didn't we? We did a lot of Zoom sessions for club coaches and clubs, and that was so good, especially for Steve, because you know he obviously we all both came from clubs, but he had a really successful club himself as the lead instructor, as we've already talked about. So he does miss that part of coaching at grassroots. He really enjoys it, and he really loves to be part of that. So for us to kind of, we must have done 2 or 3 a week, same as the other athletes are doing. And it's just like, we never charged for that.
Yeah,
we
wouldn't charge for different clubs.
Yeah, for different clubs, like for free. And it's like, how incredible is that? Like, how incredible are we all that we all stuck together, we came together and we gave something back for people to keep them motivated, to keep them going. And like, you wouldn't have to charge, you'd be paying thousands for what some of these athletes give back. Aaron and Bianca and Jade, and I know Bradley did so much.
Yeah, probably don't.
You know, Donny lad doing good for everyone. Incredible, like how amazing for these young people. Such a positive thing to take from lockdown. If no one got sick in your family and your friends close to you, you know, how positive was that? You know, absolutely incredible. And you know, they should all take something from that and be so grateful, because they would have to travel for that, pay a fortune for that, and it was just there in front of them. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I think just to almost answer your question as well, like no, it's all right. At the start, we almost sent the guys away. We did give them kits and everything, but almost like, just try and keep yourself busy, and we give them a little bit of guidance, but thinking, you know, 2-3 weeks, a month, we're going to be back. And then as it starts dragging on, then we start to think, right, we need to actually facilitate some sessions, you know, and the guys recording it. Like,
gives them accountability, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like, so some of them were saying they were losing motivation sometimes because they're just on their own. Yeah. And then someone was like, well, record yourself and put it live or whatever it is they were doing. I don't know. But like, you know, and it's like, that makes you do it, you know, and so it was almost good for the athletes. Yeah. But I think in terms of like connection to the membership or the fans, probably, I know even at the academy, you know, once a week they'll maybe record themselves, you know, and put something out. But there was something every day from, like, you know, some young kids might consider these guys to be like heroes or superstars, and there's something every day. They probably never felt so connected. I think, like in terms of how lockdowns change things, I think technology and the use of technology and things you can do, I think it's there's been there's going to be big changes. There's already been big, but some of them are going to continue. Even though, you know, things are getting more back to normal now.
No, that's good. I mean, guys, I'm conscious that obviously time is quite tight for you guys. So I know that there's a chicken in the oven. I mean, I've got a few more questions. So if you don't mind, I'd like to keep going a wee bit. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine. But it's him, he goes on, doesn't he?
Are you joking?
Right. But anyway, one important thing I was noticing myself was, you know, from the Instagram, was I noticed that Aaron Cook's been training at the academy. I mean, is it part of a training camp, or is there something going on there, or what's, you know, is there anything you can tell us about that, or?
Yeah, it depends what you mean by something going on. There's nothing sinister going on, if that's what you're asking about. No, I think it's amazing, to be honest. Aaron, obviously, British fighter, it lives down the road from the academy, you know, and obviously now represents another country. But for me, Aaron, one of the most exciting fighters ever to come out of Great Britain, you know, and he's in a very tricky situation where he represents another country, you know, in Moldova, but no, he gets no help. Literally, like, it's his girlfriend Bianca and his brother Luke who help him, you know, and so I'm not saying I don't know, like if Aaron's okay with us all and everything now, but you know, he comes and trains with us. We help him out. You know, he's very, very respectful. You know, I even asked him. I said, look, you know, you're coming in, you're training, you kind of a little bit just doing that as if it was a training camp. You know, like we'd have the French team come over and they just join in with our session and then they go home. And it was a little bit like that at the start. And so I said, Aaron, is this how you want it? Or would you like some help? Because I'm conscious, you know, the kid, I call him a kid, he's nearly 30 now, but, you know, he's a nice guy. He's a very, very nice guy, you know. And so I'm like, is this how you want it? Or would you like some help? And he was like, I'd love some help. I get nothing, you know. And so we're all chipping in and trying to help him a little bit now as well. So, you know, I think it would be amazing if he could qualify for you know, obviously he hasn't qualified through the rankings, but if he can qualify through the European qualification, so whenever that may be, you know, I think that would be incredible, you know. So, you know, we're going to help him try and do that. Obviously, you know, he's the guy who's put in all of the work on his own. I've got so much respect for him. I don't know how he done it at some points where he's
100%.
literally, talk about that internal motivation. What I said about before, I've probably never seen it bigger in an athlete than in him, you know. So now we're trying to help him a bit. It's obviously still mostly himself, but we're trying to help him out. You know, he trains with us quite a lot now. So yeah, if it could finish with him qualifying for the next games, that'd be amazing. Be a nice story, I think.
Yeah.
That's good. Excellent. No, that's good. I really like Aaron myself as well. Like you call him a kid, you know, it's like I remember him and you remember him from when he was so young and fighting through and doing so well, you know, and it's great to see him, you know, still doing what he loves doing, you know, and I do. My fingers are crossed, my toes are crossed for him getting qualified. Yeah, 100%. So talking Olympics, Sarah, you've been to 4 Olympics. And that's 16 years competing at Olympic level. And I mean, that's crazy in itself. I'm world champion as a junior and senior twice with 10 years between them, 2001 and 2011. Now, I'm sorry, but that says strength and determination right there. And we haven't even discussed the injuries that you've had and obviously the heartache during those years of competing. I mean, obviously you loved competing, but how did you keep the hunger to win for so long and through such hard times?
Oh, God. I think it was, sometimes it was very hard to kind of keep going through injuries, through just time doing the same thing and the motivation, which I know a lot of athletes struggled with, just motivation. Doing something else alongside training helped with that. You know, you might want to pick like a language or, you know, I did Spanish for a while or something like that, or someone might want to go, you know what, I'm going to start piano lessons, whatever it is. That kind of does help with kind of making sure that when you get to a certain age, you have to have something else in your life. I think something happens in your brain where you just think, I need to do something else here, or else I'm going to go mad. So that was kind of, I had that kind of journey as well, which really helped me to kind of kick me in after Beijing, because I had a couple of years where I was just floating around a little bit, not really sure. And I think doing something else really helped. And then changing weight groups really helped. I only changed weights because I was bored and I needed a new challenge. So I was always like in -73 or +67. And I was only quite light, really, about 70, 71 kilos, something like that. And I changed weight groups because I needed a new challenge. And I really enjoyed doing -67, fighting new people and having new challenges. So finding that was really good and kept me going a little bit. And I think I wasn't really sure if I wanted to go to London because it's, as you said, it's a long time. I was probably coming to the, you know, the end of my career. You know, you get to an age where you can't keep doing it as long. Injuries, you know, just time. It is quite a young sport, really. It's not a power sport where you can go on older and gain more power. So yeah, I think I remember going for a walk with you and I was like, right, am I going to go for this London 2012? Because I don't know if I've got it there or the motivation or anything like that. This is probably 2010, actually. Got to make a decision that, you know, you've got to make that decision, haven't you, really? And I just thought, you know what, the turning point was for me was thinking I couldn't sit at home watching the Olympics in my own country. Like that would kill me. I think, you know, that you just have that like grief feeling, that sinking feel in your stomach that you wasn't there and you was watching someone else in your weight or something like that competing. There's no way I was going to let that happen. That was kind of my motivation to go for London. So teaming that with the new challenge of the new weight, it was really exciting. So I probably had one of the most successful last 2 years of my career, in the successful times in the last 2 years. So I won the Europeans 2010. I don't know how I managed to win the Worlds in 2011, so I'll come to that. You know, how I did that, I don't know, but maybe some of those changes, finding new challenges helped. So yeah, I made that decision to go to the Olympics. So I was on the road and mentally like going for it. But then, as you know, as we've had in this last 6 months, you cannot control what life throws at you. And we've just been thrown a worldwide pandemic, and we're coming through it, and we're getting there. We've learned so much. We've been up and down. And I suppose you can relate that to, you know, someone dying in your family, which is what happened to me. You know, my mum and dad got cancer in 2011, you know, just a couple of months before the World Championships. Well, obviously we were home nation, so to win the medal at the Worlds was your ticket to the Olympics, because you didn't have to qualify, we had the spots. So our qualification was that World Championships. So my mum had cancer in the January. My dad got diagnosed 2 weeks before that World Championships with a brain tumour. And how I even went there, I don't know. But one thing that got me there was my mum and dad both said, you've got to go, because you've got to go to the Olympics and we'll be there with you. So that's what got me there. And I honestly won that Worlds because I totally felt invincible. I really, really did. I was like, never felt like that in my life. Just what is worse than what I was going through? Do you know what I mean? That was literally, it was a massive ball of perspective. This was a competition, for God's sake. It was a competition for a sport that I love. It wasn't life and death. So I was just thinking, listen, I feel sorry for whoever's standing in front of me, because even if I lose, I am going to like take you down. And I've never had that emotion before. And that's what won me a medal, won the Worlds. And I think it was over 2 days then, which was rare. I know we'd had it last year, but it was rare. And like, I got to the semi-final and no one scored a point on me at all. It's like no points, wasn't it? And no, it's not because I was amazing. It's just because I was so focused on being this invincible person, that because the worst that could happen, Spike, is someone was going to knock me out or someone was going to beat me. And honestly, it was fine, because it wasn't anything like what was going on at home. So that's what got me through. And obviously to win was just a chance to kind of go home and go back, take something home that was positive, you know. Obviously that, you know, both my parents died, which was absolutely devastating. It still is. You're never going to get over it, ever. So, but I'm all right to talk about it, because again, same as Beijing, it can maybe help others. And I'm not saying I'm not superhuman. I am not. I just, you know, it kind of helped me to get to London. Like after, when they died, it's like, well, what else am I going to do? You know, I can't sit and cry in a corner, because I can do that anytime, really. And I think you can kind of be in a state of shock for a long time. And I think having that Olympics to focus on was kind of it's forgetting about the grief for a little while. And getting to London was like, I had to do it, because that was the end journey from this horrific time, was getting to that Olympic Games. And along the way, I ruptured my ACL in my knee, which was not ideal. And really, you know, I shouldn't have, I was never going to win a medal. As soon as I stepped into the ring, I wasn't me, I wasn't Sarah. But I absolutely tried my best. And that sometimes is the journey, isn't it? It's not always about the medals. Everyone just sees, you know, the shiny gold medals, and that's absolutely incredible. And God, I wish I had one, and I wish I had one of Jade's golds, you know, I wish I did. But sometimes life throws bombs at you that you can't control, and those stories can inspire other people. And it's not just me that had a tough story to get to London. I met so many other athletes that had incredibly sad journeys, but to get there was their gold medal. And sometimes, you know, it's good to talk about those as well, because they can relate to people.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's I think it changes you as a person when your parents pass away, and you don't always realize how it changes you until that changes happen. You know what I mean? It's like going to the Olympics, and that it's, you know, it's what your mum and dad would have loved you to do.
Yeah.
They're proud that you would have done it, but yeah, was it at the right time, you know, for you after that? You know, maybe not. You know?
If we'd have had a pandemic in 2012, that would have been perfect for me. If we could have changed that and had the Olympics in 2013, that would have been a better situation for me, because I think maybe I'd have been in for a better chance. But it wasn't. And you know what? This is my journey and this is my life. And, you know, I've got to take all the positives from it. You know, I wouldn't be the person I am now. Oh, well, obviously, I'd love to have my mum and dad here, because obviously they don't get to meet my children. And that's hurtful, and that will always be hurtful, you know. But it's my life, and what am I going to do? You can't just sit and cry about it. Although you can have bad days, and everyone. I still have bad days. I'm human, you know. And you've got to accept those bad days and roll with them. Because the more times you try and like go, no, you'll be all right. No, you'll be all right. The longer you have the bad days, in my experience. So if I'm having a bit of a bad day, not so much now, because it's time's a little bit of a healer, but you know, certainly a few years ago, if I was having a bad day, I got a lot of help psychological wise, and it was like, well, just accept it. You know what? And sometimes I would say to Steve, you know what, Steve, I'm going to have a bad day today. I might be a little bit snappy. I might cry all day. So I'm just telling you. And actually, when you did that, you didn't really have so much of a bad day.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
You know? And it's almost like,
yeah.
Yeah, and then after like 2-3 days, if you're still having a bad day, then you give yourself a slap then.
Or Gary Sykes comes down and gives you a slap.
Someone give me a slap and say, right, you've had your 2 days, your dad would give you a slap now, so sort yourself out. But definitely don't be a hero. Have those bad days, embrace it, you know.
No, that's good. I mean, guys, I could just talk to you forever, to be fair. I've got so many other questions to ask you, but I think it's probably better if we do another interview.
Definitely.
Get your tea. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Well, guys, I'd just like to say, obviously, you know, thank you so much for coming on. And you know, I will give you a message again and say, like, part 2. I want part 2. All right.
Definitely. Thanks so much for having us. Anytime, we'll do it again.
Thank you so much, guys. Okay, you take care, and I'll see you soon. All right. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.